Hi, and welcome to the Using Data Security and Protection Toolkit for the First Time webinar. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes to let people join. And maybe if Rhiannon or Cyrus could give me a nod when they think most people are in, that would be fantastic. So in the background, we've got Rhiannon and Cyrus from the Digital Care Hub. They're going to be actually running the webinar. I'm just going to be doing the talking. So
Perfect. I'll let you know when.
lovely, thank you. Mm. Just give it another 30 seconds, maybe a minute, just to let people join. Not too long, so we don't run over.
Yeah, probably fine, I think.
Okay, that's great, thanks. So welcome to the Using Data Security and Protection Toolkit for the first time. My name's Angie McNally, and I work as a local support, as part of the local support organisation, Oxfordshire Association of Care Providers, and that's on behalf of Better Security, Better Care. So if we move to the next slide. Okay, so just some technical issues. This is for care providers who've never published the DSPT in the past. So it could be that you've never published it, but your organisation has. But either way, that's fine. Attendees are on mute and can't be seen. Please use the question and answer function to ask questions and not the chat. If you're on your phone, you need to tap the screen to see the controls, choose more, and then questions and answers. Questions that we can't answer will come back to you. So if you add your email address to the Q&A, the webinar will last no longer than 1 hour, and you will get access to the recording and the presentation, including the links afterwards. Okay, thank you. Next one. So our agenda today, we're going to welcome you and do an introductions, which I've done. We're going to look at registering for the DSPT, completing the DSPT, publishing the DSPT, and the support that's out there from Better Security, Better Care. Please just remember, don't use the chat, use the Q&A for your questions. Thank you. And the next slide. Oh, okay, we've got a poll. So if you could just take your time and complete this. So is your service already registered, and is your organisation, if your organisation is already registered, have you started to complete it? And then how would you describe your organisation? So are you a single site or are you a multi-site? When that's done, Rhiannon or Cyrus will let us know the outcome. Okay, excellent. So, some of you have registered, that's fantastic. Some of you have started to complete, but others haven't, some not sure. That's no problem at all. And then the majority of your single sites, and there's a few that are multi-site, that's fine. We'll look at both, so no problem there. Okay, that's great. We can go on to the next.
Better security, better care with the Data Security and Protection Toolkit. As a care provider, you store and share important and often sensitive information. This includes data about the people you support, their family and carers, through to staff, partners and funders. To store and share that information, whether it is on paper or digitally, all care providers must have systems in place that reduce the risk of cyber attacks and information breaches. If you don't, your business and reputation could be at risk, and you could be breaking data protection law. The Data Security and Protection Toolkit, or DSPT, is an online self-assessment tool. You can use the toolkit to check your data and cybersecurity policies, procedures and practices, and demonstrate that you have good systems in place. This can reduce the risk of a data breach and the risk of a fine if a breach occurs, as you will be able to show the Information Commissioner's Office the steps you were taking to reduce and manage risks. All adult social care providers in England, regardless of size, service type or ownership, should complete the DSPT at least once a year. When you have completed the toolkit, you can publish and share information about the standard you have reached. So what levels can you reach on the DSPT, and what do they mean? There are currently 3 levels on the DSPT. Approaching standards means you are meeting minimum legal standards. It's a temporary stepping stone to the next level, and you will need to produce an action plan to show what you will do to get 2 standards met. Approaching standards also enables you to get NHSmail, an accredited secure email system which helps you to share confidential information with local authority, NHS and other colleagues. Standards met is the level you really need to reach. It demonstrates that you are going above basic legal requirements, and it helps you to take some proportionate measures to protect you from cyber criminals. It will help you to reassure people who use your services, their families, and your staff that you are managing their information safely. It will also enable you to answer the Care Quality Commission's questions about managing data. And if you are accessing NHS patient data or delivering services under an NHS contract, you must have reached standards met. Local authorities are also increasingly asking for the DSPT in their contracts. Standards met opens up access to shared systems with other health organisations, including GPs, hospitals and pharmacists. These systems can improve decisions you make about someone's care and save your staff time. Finally, standards exceeded indicates that you have gone beyond required standards. So, for example, you may have Cyber Essentials Plus in place. As a care provider, you should complete the DSPT at least once a year, but we know that not every care provider feels confident about using the toolkit. To support you, the NHS funded Better Security direct support, as well as useful guides, templates and a helpline to enable you to publish your DSPT and to protect the vital information you store and share. To find out more, visit www.digitalsocialcare.co.uk/better security, better care.
Okay, thank you. So leading on from the video that you've just watched there, this is your toolkit journey. So you want to aim for standards met if you can. So the first thing you have to do is register, which we will go through shortly, and then you have to complete. If you're going to complete to standards met, you have to complete all 43 questions. If you can't do all 43 questions, then you can get to approaching standards, and this is 26 mandatory questions and an action plan. You can only do this once, and then you would have to review the next year and publish all 43. So the process is register, complete, answer the questions relevant to you, 43 or 26, and then publish either to standards met or publish to approaching standards. And it says there review every year. It's at least once a year. If anything changes in that year, if any policies change or procedures change, then you would need to review your toolkit as well at that point. Okay, if we go to the next slide. Okay, so you're not alone. There's lots of other people out there and there's lots of help. So the Better Security, Better Care website, digital care website, sorry, Care Hub website has plenty of help there. We have help, we have templates, there's all sorts of things there. And there's also a helpline. We've run webinars, or the Digital Care Hub team run national webinars on all sorts of things. So it can be on specific policies and not just your DSPT. There's template policies, and there's support from other local support partners like myself across England. So dependent on which county or local authority you're in, then you can approach your local support partner. Thank you. Okay, so one of the points we want to highlight is the value of the DSPT when providing evidence to CQC. This really does apply to all care providers and is increasingly important. CQC have said will increasingly expect a good provider to comply with the DSPT or equivalent as a minimum. This also applies where you're using a combination of digital and paper records. And the DSPT is now a requirement under the single assessment framework under well-led governance, management and sustainability. And you'll get the link on, with the slides to read more about that. Okay, and the next slide. So we're going to look at registering for the first time. So this is for people who have not completed or not registered. So the first thing, this is just, we're just going to go through a little bit of the procedure. All CQC registered social care providers will have an ODS code. That's an organisation data service code, and this is used by the NHS to provide health and social care organisations with a unique code. So the first thing you have to do is find that. So there's various ways you can, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. Once you've got that, then you can go on to register, and then you'll have to click an email that will be sent to you within 24 hours. You'll have to click onto that email and then you'll be able to set up your password. And so if we could go on to the next slide, please. So to find your ODS, if you're a single site, for example, a single care home or a single home care agency with one CQC registered office, register with your V code, okay? So when you actually come to look at them up, you'll see that you may have an A code and a V code, but if you register with your V code, that will be the right one for your single site. And the next slide. Okay, so for multi-sites, for example, a group of care services that share the same policies and procedure, they'll have an A code, so a head office code, plus site codes for each site. So what you can do is register under your A code, and that will cover all your sites. And when you come to complete, you'll see that there's an area where you can tick all your sites that you want to complete for. So if you're a multi-site, a group of care services, but using the same procedures and policies, then please use the A code to register. Okay. For more complex multi-sites, if your organisation is more complex, for example, if it offers different types of service, perhaps including some services that are not registered by CQC, or it has many main offices or branches, you'll have more than one head office code and multiple site codes. You may need to complete more than one Toolkit entry. You'll need to seek advice on that. So if you have several head office codes for different parts of the business, because they offer different services or CQC registrations, the best thing to do is to contact the help desk, and they'll be able to help you. So your local support organisation may be able to point you in the right direction. We also have a national team looking after complex multi-site providers. So if you contact your Exeter help desk, they may point you in our direction. Okay, thank you. And so multi-site changes for the DSPT, this should be 24-25. Tick all the sites you would like to have to publish on behalf of. Make sure you add your registered managers as viewers or auditors to your DSPT. It's imperative that we cascade this down and that all staff know about the DSPT and about policies for data and cybersecurity to ensure that we're embedding this good practice within each site rather than just at a head office level. or a management level. And then revisit and republish each year and ensure that all sites are ticked. So sometimes when a multi-site or a complex multi-site goes on, they'll tick for the one that they're doing, but forget to tick all those other sites. And that will look like they haven't completed their DSPT, so make sure you complete for them. And as I said, it says once a year, but if anything changes within that time, then you will need to go back on and republish. Okay, and next slide. Okay, so to find your ODS, there's a link there, or you can use the search for the ODS portal, and then you would choose Organisation Practitioner Search. If you're struggling to find it, and you're not sure which ones to use, then contact to the help desk, and they will be able to help you with that. No, oops, sorry. I was just going to say non-regulated services may not have a code. So if you're not CQC registered, but you still want to do the DSPT, then you can contact Exeter and they will be able to help you with that again. Okay, and then next one. Okay, so this one is DSPT. So where do I start? So that's the link there, the toolkit I've got the wrong teeth in today. The toolkit link, and you'll see that when it comes up, if you're not registered, you'll need to click on the register button there on the top right hand corner. And if you're not sure to find out, then you can click on the organisation search, and that will show you if your organisation is already registered. Okay, and if we go to the next slide. Oh, sorry, I should have said some more on there, but never mind, I'll say it here. Okay, so to register and complete your organisation profile, always choose social care because that will bring up the correct questions on the toolkit. So the toolkit covers a lot of other industries. So it covers pharmacies, it covers doctors, it might cover mental health trusts, all sorts of things. So you must, and then their questions are slightly different. So always make sure you click on the social care. If you have registered before, if you find out, going back to the last slide, sorry, if you find out that on the organisation search that you've registered before, but you're unable to find your password, then again, can you contact the Exeter help desk and they will be able to arrange it. It could be that the registered manager that completed it before, or whoever it may be, your data protection officer, whoever completed it before has left and not passed on the details. So you will need to set up a new password. You will need to have authorization from somebody, in some director, data protection officer, manager in your organisation, and send that to Exeter, the help desk, and they will be able to help you on that. Okay. If you answer other questions, you'll be asked about key roles and all right, sorry. We suggest that you only choose your organisation type at this stage. Important just that you can go back and it will update it and change it later. Okay, so you can set up your users, and you'll see that there's 3 types of users here. So we have a view only, so that you could give that to your registered managers if you're a multi-site, or you could give it to your data leads so that they are aware, your data digital champions. A member, they can add and edit evidence, but only the administrator can publish, and only the administrator can manage users. Okay, so you may split it up because you may have an IT department, so you may add them as a member and they can update all the IT questions and add evidence. And then you as administrator can go back in and check that it's okay before you go to publish. Okay. Yeah. So as I said, you'll get a link from you'll get an email with a link on it, and that expires within 24 hours. Okay. The support on registration, you can contact one of us, so local support organisations throughout the country, and there's a link to that on the Digital Care Hub website. And if you're a multi-site care group, then you can contact the National Help Desk. And again, both of these things are on the Digital Care Web Hub. There's links there to help you. Okay, and the next slide. So, any questions so far?
Yes, we've had a few questions. I've managed to answer some of them, but I thought this one would be good to ask, as I'm not 100% sure. Someone's asked if there is a list of the 43 mandatory questions in Excel spreadsheet format. I don't think that we have one. I'm not sure if you've got one, Angie.
I think I'm not sure that we have one out there. If you add your email and then Rhiannon lets me know, I can look into it for you. There was something a few years ago, but the questions have changed since, and I haven't seen anything updated. So if you could let us know your email, then I can get back to you on that one. That would be fine.
And yeah, that's everything, Angie. I've answered the other questions.
Okay, that's great. Thanks. And then if we go to the next slide, so we're going to look at completing your DSPT questions now. Okay, and we're going to help you understand the toolkit and plan what you need to do to complete. So please be aware that the answers are not public. Okay, so it's only whoever you've given access to your DSPT that can see it. Okay, this is a self-assessment. Okay, so you're going to answer questions, tick boxes and provide evidence, but again, just stress again that only you can see it, or only people that have been given access. It's not a tick box exercise, so while I said you'll be ticking, you will need to work through it and make sure your policies and procedures are robust, because if you're just using it as a tick box exercise, then it won't help you with your protection, your data and cybersecurity protection. Use answers and comment sections to record valuable information. Now, when I get any of my providers to do it, I try to get them to put as much detail in the comment section, because they may decide that next year they'll delegate it to a data protection officer or somebody else, or they may have left and then somebody else has to come along. So it's always good to say where things are stored, you know, if it's stored on your G drive or your OneDrive, or, you know, if it's in the office, in the filing cabinet, anything like that, anything that can give you, or the reason why you've chosen to answer it in such a way, then this will help for the next year's publishing and make it much easier. So the first time you publish, I'm not going to lie, it takes a little while, and there may be things you have to go away and sort out and come back to. But don't worry, your answers are always remembered. But once you start to review each year in, or each time in, then the easier it becomes, and the more you've got in the comment section, much easier it becomes. So if we go on to the next one. So this is the social care assessment. This is what you'll see when you first log on, and you'll see the questions are marked mandatory. Okay, so those are the ones for approaching standards. Questions that you've answered will be marked complete. Okay, so once you've completed that question, you will see at the side of a completed sign. There's no specific order to completing the DSPT. You can start anywhere and move backwards and forwards between the questions, and as I said, the system will auto save as at regular interviews. Under each section, there are several questions or evidence items. Dependent on the type of questions, you'll be asked to either upload a document or write some text to answer the question, or state what date something happened, or just tick a box to confirm your organisation has done something, like provide induction training to all new staff. To complete a question, you click on the blue writing, and which you can see there, so who has responsibility, and then that will bring up the question there, and then you can answer it in the boxes provided. Okay, so the next slide, sorry. So yes, so as I said, you click on the evidence item in blue and answer the questions, and you will also see some detailed guidance on there. So the questions are grouped under 4 headings, okay? So you've got staffing and roles, and to achieve approaching standards, that's 4 questions, but to achieve standards makes it 7. Policies and procedure, there's 10 questions for approaching standards and only 2 more for standards met. So you're nearly there. Data security, 5 questions for approaching standard, 8 for standards met. And then IT systems and devices, there's 7 questions for approaching standard and 16 for standards met. As we said, if you can get to standards met, it's much better, it's easier for you, and then next year it'll be much easier to review. If you are just starting out and you're unable, or you haven't got your policies up to date, and then you can only go to approaching standards, that's fine, but be aware you can only do it once, okay? And you'll need to have an action plan to work on. So the next slide, please. So in staffing and roles, this is the questions that cover. So who has responsibility for this area of work, staff records and contracts, and data protection and cybersecurity induction and training. So there's responsibilities. So before you approach the whole topic of data and cybersecurity training for your staff, you need to decide who were responsible for this area, and you must have that documented somewhere. Your staff records and contracts. Do you know what your staff have, and do they have something in their contract about keeping data safe? And the DSPT asks 4 questions regarding training. So what training do staff need? This is regarding data and cybersecurity training. So you'll need to carry out a training needs analysis, and we Digital Care Hub have a template for that in their website, and this will cover all staff and find the right training materials and provide us your needs. All staff will require some level of training in data protection and cybersecurity. This includes frontline staff, managers, owners, board members, volunteers if you have them, kitchen staff, it could be because they're looking at data, reception staff. So, you know, it's anybody that looks at personal data needs to have data and cybersecurity, and there'll be different levels of training needed dependent on their role, and the staff with the roles involving data security and protection will need in-depth training. So those that are taking the lead are maybe digital champions. And again, Digital Care Hub have 2 e-learning for staff that's on the Digital Care Hub website. So for approaching standards, sorry, I've just lost me notes. For approaching standards, you must make sure that the data protection and cybersecurity forms part of every employee's induction. So that's even before you go on to standards met. Okay, so if we could go to the next slide. We're just going to talk through one question now. It's important that you keep up-to-date records of both your staff and volunteers, if you have them, and their roles. Most people have this, so this is the question 4.11. Does your organisation have up-to-date record of staff and volunteers, and if you have them, and their roles? Most people have this as part of the HR, but you must make sure this is up to date and it tracks any change of role, new starters, or removal of relievers. And as I said, this might be linked to your existing payroll or rostering system. Okay, we've gone to the next slide. You don't, just to go back to that, sorry, you don't have to upload those records to the toolkit, but you need to have them in place. So you need to have them in place if, say, CQC come in and they might want to see them, or your commissioners come in, they may want to have a look at them. So they may ask to look at your DSPT as part of their check. So you can give them a view only, or you could print it out for them. And then they may pick up on specific questions and say, oh, okay, can I see this list of your employees? Just to reiterate that. Okay, if we could go on to the next slide. Okay. Does your organisation have an up-to-date record of that? So this is what it looks like when you actually click on the blue writing. And you'll see you've got a yellow ring, a yellow square around the square, and then you've got a comments and it says optional. So you can tick this, and then I would suggest that you would put where it is saved. So if it's saved in your HR documents, or you don't have to be ultra specific, but just to help them, help whoever does it next time. And then you must press save, and that will save your answer and show it as completed. Okay, if we can go on to the next one. So you can see here, this is one that's been filled out. So they've said yes. Staff and volunteer registered are contained in HR files, both hard copies and electronic versions, which are saved on both the Google Drive and portable D drive in the Operation Director's office. The hard copies are kept in a locked drawer. I mean, that's really detailed. And that would help the next person. So if you can do something like that, I know it may take you a little bit of time, but it's worthwhile in the end. Okay, and the next slide. Okay, so this is an example of question 1.15, and this one is where you actually have to fill in something. So you can see here under the paragraph, you'll see the blue writing, and that's a top tip there, and that will give you further help. And then you must write your answer in this box here, and then you can add further comments that may be useful for colleagues in the future. Okay, but this is one, when you write in the comments box, it doesn't count towards your answer, so you must make sure you fill in the answer there first and then complete the comments box, and then you can press save and it will be saved and completed. Okay, so one of the questions is awareness of training at 3.21. Have at least 95% of your staff, directors, trustees and volunteers in your organisation completed training on data and security and protection and cybersecurity in the last 12 months. Now that's mandatory. That should be done as a matter of course. So you need to make sure this is, so you may have to, if there's anybody just started, you may have to get them to complete their training before you can complete your toolkit. Okay, so you should have up-to-date records of what staff have taken it, all staff should have taken it, and when they've taken it, and it should be within the last 12 months. Okay, and if we go on to the next slide. So, as I said before, there's free e-learning courses for all staff working in adult social care in England. So this is the frontline staff. So this is made up of 4 modules, and each module takes between 15 to 20 minutes each. They're relatable case scenarios, so they're all based around care provider scenarios. So it could be a scenario set in a care home or a home care or supported living. It's suitable for all staff. It's free and it's compliant with your question that we've just talked about, 3.21. On data protection and training for all staff. We can also do this, or some LSOs can do this face-to-face. So if you were a multi-site, or you had a few registered managers or a few people that you wanted to train all at once, then we can come and do that face-to-face with you as well. You would need to approach your local support organisation for that. And then we have the e-learning course for data leads. So this is a new one that has not long been up. And again, it's based on 4 modules. It's easily accessible, 15 to 20 minutes per module. Again, relatable case scenarios, and it's tailored to those that are leading on data protection and cybersecurity. So not your DPOs, because they're usually trained, they've been certified anyway, trained up to data protection standards. But say you had data leads or digital champions, then this is just a little bit more advanced and a little bit more intricate than the other e-learning. Just gives them a little bit more detailed knowledge. Again, it's completely free. I have done this face-to-face with some managers as well. So it's a case of if that's something that you wanted, then we wouldn't do it for just one person, but probably a few. You would have to contact your local support organisation, but it's free. It's on the website, so you can download it. You can do it straight away, and they both give you certificates at the end. Okay, and the next slide. Okay, so we know training is a challenge for providers. So that's why we've done the e-learning, really, because that helps, and they're short modules. But we've also created a discussion tool for managers to use for their staff on data protection, plus a basic self-assessment tool for frontline workers to use to demonstrate their knowledge. These can help you answer questions on training, but it can't guarantee it. Okay, so it goes through it, and the tool is broken down into 4 color-coded sections, covering 4 learning outcomes from frontline staff. And it also gives you manager's notes. So you could use this in a staff training or a staff meeting. You could use one part of it and go through it. Or you could use it as a tool to understand where your staff need further training. So you could give it out as a handout, get them to complete it, and then see if there's any gaps in the training that they need to take up. Okay. And the next question. So looking at policies and procedures, and what the questions covered on this one is, so there's 12 questions, and they're the heart of the GDPR and data protection. So the first thing is ICO, Information Commissioner's Office registration. You need to check you're registered, and that, again, that's mandatory. That regardless of whether you do the DSPT, you should be registered with the ICO. And you can check that on their website. There's a way of checking it. So if you go onto the ICO website, you'll be able to check that one. Policies, what your policies need to cover to help you to keep the data you hold safe and secure. And how do you check they're being implemented? Do you audit? Do you do spot checks? So this includes a new question from 1.24. It's a legal requirement for all health and social care CQC registered organisations to be compliant with the National Data Opt-out. The National Data Opt-out gives everybody the ability to stop health and social care organisations from sharing their confidential information for research and planning purposes, with some exceptions, such as where there's a legal mandate and an overriding public interest, for example, when they were helping to manage the COVID pandemic. As a provider, you should help people who use your services to understand that they can opt out of their data being used for other purposes. You should check your policies, procedures, and privacy note cover the opt-out. National Data Opt-out is a requirement for standards met. Okay. So holding and sharing your information. So what documentation should you have to be GDPR compliant, e.g. your privacy notice? And then retaining records, have your retention schedule in place. So you should have a note of all the documentation, types of documentation you're holding and how long you can keep them, and then what you're going to do, dispose them. So how do you dispose of records safely? You need to have that noted down in your policies. You should also have a list of suppliers. Such as IT or care planning services, IT support, accountancy, DBS checks. human resources and payroll, and they should be, you should have a list of them and the contracts with them and their certificates of cybersecurity, because we found that being part of a supply chain leads you to being open more to cyber breaches. So you would need to make sure that you are covered, that they are covered with their cybersecurity certification too. Okay, and the next slide. So the ICO, so this is one of the questions we're going to ask now as an example. Registration with the ICO is a legal requirement for every organisation that process personal information, unless they're exempt as a small charity, but this is probably not likely for a care provider. If your organisation is not registered, you should register as a matter of urgency. The ICO fine is up to £4,000 if not registered. You can check whether you're registered, what your ICO registration number is on the Information Commissioner's Office website. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So the question 1.1.1 is, what's your organisation's ICO registration number? And you can see here that we've clicked on the blue writing, and we would fill in that yellow box, and this is a response that we've had. So we have an ICO certificate on your wall. On our wall, the registration number is Z something something, and it always starts with a Z. And the organisation was registered on the 18th of March, and then it's a yearly registration. So you would change that each year as it came along. Okay, so again, you can see you've answered the yellow box and you've added a comment. So really good practice there. And the next slide. So there's further supports and templates to help you on the Digital Care website. So it's listed here. There's approaching standards, the required policies, and then the additional required policies for standard met, and then recommended documentation. Make sure that if you do use a template, that you tailor it to your services. I have been in to help people complete their DSPT, and they've used not necessarily Digital Care Hub templates, but templates from other providers, and not changed names and dates and made anything more tailored to their own service. Okay, so make sure you're doing that, because again, while the DSPT is only a toolkit and it's only for your viewing, the CQC or local authority can come in and ask to view that, or they can just come in and ask to view some of your policies. So you want to make sure that they're robust and up to date and tailored to your service. Okay, and as I said, you can find all those details on the Digital Care website. Okay, and the next slide. Okay, so we're going to look at data security and what the questions cover on this. So there's three main areas. There's 8 questions in total. First one, data breaches. So asks, does your organisation have a system in place to report data breaches? There's other 3 questions on data breaches are about what you did if you had a data breach. And if you haven't had one, then you can answer not applicable on that one. Building security and paper records, and that one's usually, so that's physical security and paper records on the move. That's nice and easy. So if you've got Windows, if you've got keypad, you've got clear desk policy. If you're taking paper records out, how you keep them secure, put them in a sealed envelope, marked private and confidential. Don't leave them on the bus, as MPs are likely to do, or the tube. Don't leave them visible in your car, so don't leave them open. Always put them back in a folder or whatever. And then going on to your business continuity. So in your business continuity plan, you need to have data emergency. So you have to have scenarios in there of what would happen if something was to go wrong. Can you just bear with me? I just need to let my dog out. Sorry, I'm working from home today. I knew that would happen, sorry. You would need to have scenarios in there, and then you would have to have how those, to make sure those plans will work. So for example, you need to how to tell your staff where they need to be if the computer breaks down or the internet stops working or online systems stop working. So again, we have templates on the Digital Care Hub, and also your local support organisations can really help you with this one. And you must be testing them, making sure that they work, okay? And if we go on to the next one, so IT systems and devices, the questions here. So there's 18 questions in this section, and there's 6 main areas. So there's people, passwords, backups, protecting your equipment, including bring your own device policy if people use their own devices. So if they use their own smartphones or if they use their own laptops, then you need to have a bring your own device policy. Technical setup and support. So do all devices have antivirus and anti-software and up-to-date operating systems, and IT supplier documentation. Okay, and if we move on to the next one. So there's a new mandatory question within there, and this is about multi-factor authentication, can't say it, MFA, and it's question number 4.53. So MFA is one of the most effective ways to protect your data and accounts from unauthorized access. You should consider all systems that can be accessed from the internet, such as an email, your digital social care record, and any cloud-based or online systems, and either ensure that all the users' accounts are protected with MFA, or detail any exceptions in the text box response. And there's some guidance there again on the Digital Care Hub website. Now this is a new question at the moment, and also we understand that sometimes by implementing MFA, you're making it harder for your staff to access information that they need to do their jobs. If you then decide that by implementing MFA, it would cause more time to be spent or difficulty for your staff, then you can detail in the answer why you've chosen not to include it. And at this point, that's okay. I'm not saying that that's going to stay like that forever, and that it may be that we get to the point where MFA has to be on everything. But at the moment, if there's any exception why you haven't got MFA on any data accessed by your staff, then you can put it as an exception in the text box. Okay, if we go on to the next slide. Oh, so this is a little bit more. So multi-factor authentication is a way of making your online accounts safer by adding steps to prove it's really you trying to log on. And usually it's a text message or a fingerprint or through the Authenticator app. So like Microsoft. You've probably done this yourselves when you're on, use your online banking or you're logging on to social media. And it ensures we keep us all safe by allowing only the people that have access to who should have access, only the people to have access who should have access, okay? If we go on to the next one. So review your current system. So this is what I was speaking about, and speak to your suppliers. Identify any potential issues, so staff sharing devices and logins. Identify where implementing MFA might not be appropriate if there's already other significant controls in place. Decide on your organization's balance of security versus usability, okay? And note any systems without MFA at director level or board level and why. So they should be minuted in a meeting of some kind. Okay, and then MFA, so it's important not to go overboard. Systems must be usable. Adding too many layers means people either stop using the existing systems or they find workarounds. Identify the appropriate level of security for each system based on the sensitivity of information, the usability, and your appetite for risk as an organisation. Where appropriate, MFA should be implemented for all individual logins to systems. Use the support available. Local support organisations, supports like myself, or software suppliers or IT suppliers, they should be able to help you. Okay, and the next slide. So there's further guidance on this on the Digital Care website. So there's staff and workforces, IT and supplies, and you can contact your local support partner or visit the Digital Care website. Okay. So now we're going to look at publishing your DSPT assessment. And so if you are publishing to approaching standards, that would mean you've completed the answers to the 26 mandatory questions. And once you've done that, once you get to the bottom, you'll see publish approaching standards assessment, and you would click on this blue box here. You will need to complete an action plan to show how you will complete the rest of the questions. So what you would need to do is you can download the blank action plan and complete that, and then upload it into the file here. And you can do that again using the blue box there on the right hand side. Okay, if we go on to the next. If you're publishing to standards met, so you've answered all 43 questions, you click on the publish assessment to publish to standards met. Remember, your DSPT will be published, but not your answers. So anybody can look up your ODS number and see that, and look up your DSPT publication and see if you've published, but they can't see what your answers are, and they can only see where you're compliant, what year you're compliant to. Okay, so don't worry about anything that you put in the answers, they can't see it. If there's any problems, it will come up in red, as it always does, just like the teacher did, and it will show you that these, so in this scenario, there's 2 questions that need some attention. Okay, so it's nice and easy. You can just click on them and it'll take you directly to them, and then you can correct it, and then go back in and publish again. Okay, when you have published, if you're a headquarter assessment, this will say publish for all sites, and you can view branches, and then as long as they've got the same policies and procedures, IT systems and data security arrangements, you can publish 1 DSPT for all sites. So if you've got 10 sites, that saves you a lot of time. Okay, so that's nice and easy. Make sure you tick those sites. And then the next slide, sorry. So as I said before, there's further support on publishing for the first time, and there's also contact your local support partner. So on that link, it'll give you the regions that you and the person that you need to contact. And once you're published, remember to export your assessment to Excel. You would click on the download assessment, and the Excel file will be downloaded into your device straight away. Okay, and the next slide. Save your published DSPT as a PDF. This means that you can view it at any point, really. So you can also go back, you can also log in and look at previous publications. So if there was any questions you were unsure how to answer, you could go back and see what was said before in the comments, if that might help you. And make sure you download your certificate. If you've published to standards met, you can download your certificate. Okay, and once you've downloaded your certificate, which looks like that, make sure you display it on your website, on your wall in your reception area. Make sure your commissioners know about it, CQC know about it, anybody, even the users, your families, your service users and families, because more and more we're getting more aware of keeping our data safe. So make sure that you tell everybody. So your registered managers, add it to your website, your privacy statement, include it in your bids, tell your commissioners, your NHS partners and your IT suppliers, anybody that needs to know really that you have taken the time and you've got robust and good policies and procedures in place to help protect your data and your cyber security. To keep your DSPT up to date throughout the year, then it's easier to publish. ensure managers and staff understand what's expected of them. So make sure that you've cascaded, as I said before, this down to managers and staff so that they're aware of the policies pertaining to them, what they are, where they're kept, and make sure they're adhering to them and it's good embedded practice, and enable managers to access the information. So consider having a printout of the documents and related policies and procedures in a manual. Now, one of my providers did that. So she had taken over as a registered manager at a care home, and they had very little in the way of policies anyway. So when we came to do the DSPT, she had to really work on it and write her policies and get her policies all up to date. So as she was doing it, she saved them all in a file entitled DSPT, and then when she published her DSPT, she printed it off and put a copy in the front, and then that was there for anybody to see. So whether that was her digital leads or her commissioner or one of the staff wanted to see a specific policy, it was all there and nice and easy. It's also useful for CQC when they come in. You can just hand them the whole folder over without trying to find policies when you're under that strain of having CQC in. Okay, and the next slide. So the next steps. So what you have to do going forward, you need to register on the DSPT. And if you need help, you can contact the help desk or the local support partner. Or large providers can contact the help desk, check out the guidance on Digital Care Hub, and then start to answer the questions. And you can return to it later, so you don't need to worry about that. And these are the links for you to help. And next slide. So, do we have any questions?
We do indeed. There's one question that's just come in that I partially answered, and I don't know if you want to add something. Let me just scroll to it. So they've said, is there any monitoring? What if people say they're compliant when they're not? I responded, there isn't currently any monitoring as such. However, if an organisation has done that, and I'm really sorry if you can hear my dog as well. If any organisation has done the DSPT and has said they're compliant and assessed by the CQC, and it's found that they haven't completed it as they said, then they aren't able to actually evidence their compliance. I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything as well to that.
No, you're right. So at the minute there's no monitoring. However, we envisage that coming in, or at least we'll hopefully be able to provide some kind of, maybe not monitoring, but checking, like a health check to check your policies are up to date and are robust enough. But as Rhiannon said, there is so if you just use it as a tick box exercise, and then CQC or your commissioner comes in. So at the minute, we, as a local support organisation, I have two counties, two local authorities looking to, one have put it into their contracts that it's a mandatory, must have the DSPT. Another one that's looking to put it into their contracts going forward. The local authority that's put it into their contracts, they've also gone in and done audits on business continuity plans because they found that they were lacking for digital and cybersecurity. So they were up to date with business continuity for floods, loss of electricity, but not necessarily for data and cybersecurity. So it's just to be aware that, you know, the onus is on yourselves to complete it to your best of your ability, and then also, you know, it's there as evidence should you be should you have an inspection from CQC or a visit from your local authority.
Lovely, thank you, Angie. And then just one more. Somebody's asked, oh, another one's come in as well. Someone's asked if there'll be any changes to the DSPT for 25-26.
I'm not sure. Yeah, there could be, but whenever there's a change, if there is a change, there's not a lot changes. So it may be one question changes, or it may be the wording is slightly adjusted, but we won't know until nearer the time, or even after, and once we start the new year after June.
Great, thank you. And the last one that's just come in now, as LSO, we have few care services that have been difficult to engage. How do we deal with such care services?
Really, it's just finding a rapport with them, working on a relationship, finding that hook, maybe not concentrating. I try to go in not concentrating on DSPT sometimes, and maybe just trying to find something that they're struggling with in their data cybersecurity. So it could be a bring your own device policy. And then once you get them talking on that, then you can possibly get them engaged. But just make sure that they're aware that, you know, CQC are now looking at it, and also that local authorities are looking at it. And that's really all you can do, I'm afraid.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Angie. And yeah, that's all of the questions.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Sorry about my dog. Thank you, everybody. So there's just a little poll just at the end. Just asking how you are you likely to complete? Are you likely to contact your local support partner? Would you recommend this webinar? And where have you heard about this webinar from? So if you can just take a couple of minutes to do that, and then
I'll pop that up in just a second. Sorry, Angie, I've just had another question come
that's
through, if
okay.
that's okay. With the DSPT, we get access to NHSmail, and how does this support the care sector? The person's asked.
So NHSmail is a secure mail system. So if you are looking to do proxy access or pharmacy, all those kind of things, then you need to have NHSmail. You won't be able to do those sort of things. You won't be able to have, like I say, proxy access or GP access unless you have NHS mail. It's one of the stipulations for going forward. Sometimes it's also a stipulation for funding from Department of Health and Social Care, but it's to do with it being a secure email system. They don't want people using things like Gmail or Yahoo or anything like that to transfer secure data and personal data. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Angie. All right, lovely. Now I'll launch the poll.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
And we'll just wait a couple seconds for those responses to come through as well. If everyone wouldn't mind just answering the questions on the poll, if that's okay.
That's good to see. So it's increased your confidence, lovely, and you're very likely to proceed. You may contact, so there's sort of half and half there, really, and you would recommend this webinar. So that's lovely to hear. And as I said, there's plenty of help out there. Please use it. It's all free at the minute. You know, so don't be afraid to ask any question. We're here to help. Whether that's your local support partner or the local support organisation or the digital care hub website or the help desk. Thank you for listening today, and good luck.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Angie.
No problem. Thank you. Bye.